Majority Leader, you have the floor.
So, Mr. Speaker, I think from the statement, the comments, and the briefing that we have received from the minister, the facts are quite straightforward. That ECG reported that they had imported 2,462 containers, and that they had received those containers at GPHE. An additional 34 containers had not arrived yet. However, Mr. Speaker, when the minister sent a team to go and carry out some investigation, they reported that only 1,134 containers were there. And indeed, some of the 1,134 containers had been opened and the contents could not be accounted for. Those are the facts. Mr. Speaker, from what the minister has indicated, he has reported to the Bureau of National Investigation, and they are busy going around the country trying to track the containers. Some few containers have been located, and the contents cannot be accounted for, except that he has indicated that they have taken them out, aluminum component of the items smelted and converted into aluminum products to be exported out of the country. Mr. Speaker, it is also worthy of note that he says the problem arises from a practice of over-procuring. In 2023, when the ECG budgeted for 935.4 million worth of items to procure, they ended up procuring 8.3 billion worth of materials. 2024, where they budgeted for 1.3 billion worth of materials, they procured 8.2 billion worth of materials. So what happens is that the materials arrive at the port and they don't have the funds to clear the materials. Then the materials start disappearing at the ports. It means that there's been a cartel all along that has specialized in ensuring that the containers are stolen out of the port and then vandalized. Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that must be investigated. But then also, he highlighted the root causes of the problem, the overprocurement. And Mr. Speaker, it is significant that the committee has reported that clearly ECG has not been complying with the procurement laws. There's an argument that ECG is not affected by the Public Procurement Act, and that because they are a company, then they can procure on their own and don't need approval from the PPA. And that the only time when they need approval from the PPA is when they use resources coming from the state to procure. That's the only time that they need approval from the PPA. And yet, on several occasions, they received funding from the state, and yet they still didn't use the PPA-approved processes for procurement. So clearly, this is an entity that has, over the years, been on its own, procuring whatever it wanted without going through the procurement rules, and that is what has accounted for the situation that we find ourselves. Mr. Speaker, the maker of the statement has called for punitive actions to be taken, and I support the maker of the statement that punitive action must be taken. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the amounts involved that 8.2 or 8.3 billion, if you total the 2 years, 2023 and 2024, we are looking at close to 17 billion Ghana cedis worth of items imported without resort to the procurement laws. Who were the leaders at ECG at that time? Who were the leaders of ECG? Who were the leaders? Who was the chairman of ECG? Who was the CEO of ECG? How is it that 17 billion Ghana cedis worth of items could be procured without compliance with the procurement provisions of the PPA, the Public Procurement Act? Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious matter. And that's why I was surprised that a statement coming from this other side will now be asking us to investigate and to punish those who are involved in such actions. Mr. Speaker, this country must change. And I'm happy that the minister has promised to go to the root of the matter, and he has the full support of this House. He has the full support of this House to hold all those who were involved in this exercise accountable, from the leadership of ECG to the leadership of the port, and those who specifically stole the containers out of the port, they must also be held accountable. And the companies that over the years have been exporting aluminum products, we need to investigate them. Where have they been sourcing their aluminum products? The raw materials. Mr. Speaker, we as members of Parliament campaigned on a promise of ensuring that we extend rural electrification to our communities. Mr. Speaker, some of us have had to use our personal monies to buy rolls of coils, pay contractors to have electricity extended to communities before we were voted for, not knowing that there was a cartel using state resources, over 17 billion Ghana cedis, to buy these same materials for rural electrification, and the materials were never getting to our communities. And we were held accountable as candidates, and we had to use our personal resources to extend electricity. I can boast, and anybody can go to my constituency, and the people will tell you that close to 70% of the rural electrification in my constituency was financed from my personal pocket. That's why I'm so angry and passionate. You can call the regional coordinator of rural electrification in Upper East, and he will tell you that no one has used his personal resources to finance rural electrification like I have done. Then you come, so there was procurement, and that you should wait, you will get the material. Later on, you are told that the materials are unavailable, but you trace the ministry. The ministry says, we have procured. But where are the materials? The materials don't get to the communities. Not knowing that people were pilfering the materials, selling them in Accra here, melting the cables, and re-exporting it. Mr. Speaker, they must be held accountable. Everybody must be held accountable, and we will ensure that. I'm happy that my colleague, the minority leader who sat there and understands the intricacies of what is happening, has pledged to this House to support the effort. We will work with him. Everybody will be held accountable. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.